12-month residential service contract. Contact Envirotech Air Quality Services today at 561-327-4486.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. Are you tired of those tax problems following you around like a dark cloud, always in the back of your mind, losing sleep at night? Call me now and get your life back. 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com. Pretending they're not there won't make them go away. The IRS isn't going to forget. They will levy your bank account and garnish your wages. Don't wait for that to happen. I'm not telling you these things to scare you. I'm telling you so you can benefit from my years of experience. Now is the time to act. 888-557-4020.
You are listening to the Ask the Experts show with host Steve-O. We will be right back with more experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Join us every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Now, get ready for more Ask the Experts.
Hey, we are back with more Ask the Experts, and I got to tell you, you have been asking for a tax relief show. God, there must be a lot of you who owe the government, but listen, it's not so bad. A lot of people get in trouble. So we found a great company that is going to help you with that. Listen to the name. It's the Tax Doctor. Dean Michael is the owner of the company, and he is with us now. Hi, Dean.
Hey, Stephen, how you doing?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
Doing fantastic, thanks.
Well, first of all, tell everybody about your company.
What we specialize in is helping people that owe back taxes. You know, maybe you owe more than $10,000 or you haven't filed for many years. You know, you could have been a business or individual, doesn't matter. And we come in and basically with a big red cape and save the day.
Well, you know, when people, I guess, finally come to you, they must have lost a lot of sleep because those letters come in from the IRS, and I'll bet you a lot of people stick them in the drawer, don't they?
Definitely. Or they go in the circular file either way.
Yes.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I hear quite a bit after we've gotten done with the case is that, you know, they can finally sleep at night and they feel a whole lot better. So that's what a lot of the testimonials they're written about. Basically.
Well, okay, the name of the company is Tax Help MD. Great name for a company. And I'm going to do something, and boy, I could be sticking my foot in my mouth, but it just really made me proud to have your company. You know, there's all kind of services out there, and if people have a problem with you, you know, they write on there. Well, I only saw one report on your company. And I'm going to tell you something. You took care of them so well, they wrote you. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Unbelievable. Because nowadays you see companies out there, they've got 20, 25 negative reports. First of all, you only had one, and really, if they would have just called you and talked to you, it'd have been straightened out right away, which you did do.
Yeah, and they wrote a rebuttal apologizing.
They did.
Anyhow. Yeah. Other than that, I have over 100 5-star ratings. So I've got the highest trust score in the entire industry.
Well, you know what? In your business, these big people you see on TV, these mega companies, those are the worst.
Definitely. Well, number one, you're only a number there. You know, you're not really known. You're definitely not going to talk to the CEO of the company. That's for sure. And you're talking to salesmen, and a lot of times they just get salesmen from, you know, they sold cars before or something like that. They didn't know anything about tax.
Gosh.
And all they are there is to sell you, and that's basically it. They don't have any idea about the programs, and a lot of the times you just end up getting some pie in the sky, you know, promising you a rainbow when it's all said and done, and they don't even know how it's going to go.
Well, we have a lot of people from New York that listen to our show. We have the Snowbirds here, and we go pretty far north with the show. You cover the whole United States.
Definitely, yes. There isn't any state that we don't cover.
So if they're listening to our show right now in New York and they are having a tax problem, you can help them.
Oh, I have a lot of clients in New York, definitely.
So tell people, first of all, we need to scare them a little bit, Dean. Tell people if they don't respond and just let those letters sit there, what's going to happen to them?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of people that like to just bury their head in the sand and pretend it's not there, and hopefully they're going to forget about them, thinking that there's some bigger fish in the sea. But the IRS doesn't forget. They have 10 years to collect the debt, and they're going to collect it one way or another. If you don't file a return and you continue not to file your returns, IRS will go ahead and they'll file one for you if they believe you're going to owe funds. They're not going to file it for you if you have a refund, of course, but they'll file it for you, if you're 1099 income or something like that, and you hadn't had any taxes taken out. They'll file it, and they'll file it in your stead. Basically what they do is they don't put any deductions, exemptions, write-offs, or anything like that. They just file the tax on the entire amount that was reported under your name, and then add on a whole bunch of penalties and assessments and come up with this big erroneous figure they claim you owe. And that's called an SFR, or a substitute filed return. So either way, the more you ignore it, the bigger the problem is just going to grow. And if you don't take care of it, the next thing they're going to do is they're forced to do some type of enforced collections like bank levy, wage garnishment, property seizure, and it's all because you ignored it. Whereas if you'd stepped up to the plate and handled it to begin with, it would have been much easier to take care of.
So I hear you say that if it's $10,000 or greater, is that kind of like the bottom line? If it's under $10,000, that you really can't do much for them?
It's not a matter of you can't do much for them. It's just the fact if you're going to retain a lawyer, lawyer fees aren't cheap, and if all you owe is $2,000 to the IRS, and you got to pay a lawyer $2,000, what's the difference? You still have money coming out.
Right.
So either way, most of the time in that respect, they're just going to be getting some type of simple payment plan or something like that. There's nothing complicated about it. There's really no reason to have an attorney. But when you owe 10,000, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, obviously it's a very good idea to have a tax professional in your corner that's been doing this each and every day for many years.
What makes you different from all these other companies we see on TV and hear on the radio?
Well, we talked about that a little bit earlier, and quite frankly, like I said before, they have salesmen on the other end of the line. Their job is to collect as much money as they possibly can, sell as much as they possibly can, and they really don't care what they're promising. They don't do what I call a tax investigation. We start out every case by doing a tax investigation, and that's where we contact the IRS on your behalf. We order all the transcripts on the account, find out exactly what's going on. We're seeing it right from the IRS's system so that we know what we're offering you is true and obtainable. A lot of those other companies out there, they're quoting you thousands of dollars. They don't even know your last name yet or what type of situation you're in, promising you this pie-in-the-sky settlement for pennies on the dollar situation. Not everybody qualifies for pennies on the dollar, and that's a very, very important fact. Now, there's been other major companies out there. You may have heard of them. You had Tax Masters in the past, Ronnie Deutsch, J.K. Harris. There was a time right before they all went out of business in the same year, and they were all on, spending millions of dollars in marketing and media. And they have to keep up those funds. They have to be able to pay for that marketing and media. So obviously they're pushing as much business as they possibly can, and they do that to a point until the clients that originally signed up, they're not going to find out that they really didn't get helped for 3 years down the road, because you can push these things out forever. And that's when it really starts coming to a head. So I wouldn't be surprised if that starts happening with the other big companies that's out there right now. I won't name any.
Well, Ronnie Deutsch went to prison.
Yeah.
So she was really ripping off people. And you know what? Tell me if I'm wrong. Once someone signs with you, they don't have to talk to the IRS anymore.
No, we prefer that you don't, as a matter of fact. It's kind of like that old cliche, you never talk to the cops without your attorney. Same thing here. I don't want you to give them any information that could hinder our ability to get you the best resolution possible. And people think, oh, well, I'm just going to tell them the truth. That's going to help. But once you give them all the facts that they need, they're just going to turn right around and use it all against you.
Yeah, they do like a roadmap to your bank account.
Precisely. So it's very important that, whoever it is you're having represent you, don't talk to the IRS without them by your side. Don't send them any documents without it going through the representation first, so that you know what's going there isn't going to hurt you rather than,
Do you handle businesses also?
Definitely.
Because I know that businesses get in trouble when they don't pay those taxes to their employees like they're supposed to, and it just keeps kind of like rolling down the hill, keeps getting bigger and bigger. Is that mostly what you see with businesses?
The 941 employment taxes is the big thing with businesses. It's normally not the corporate taxes or anything like that. It's normally the 941 payroll taxes, employment taxes, however you want to call it. And IRS looks at that as almost like a theft, because you had taken it out of the employee's checks. You were supposed to send it in, and as a business owner, you're supposed to match a certain percentage of that. If you don't send those in, pretty soon they're going to start doing substitute filed returns on those as well, coming up with their own idea as to what they think you owe. If it turns out that the company went defunct, out of business, they're going to go ahead and personally assess whoever was an officer of that company, or right on down to whoever was signer on the bank account. I mean,
Wow.
I've had clients that were simply a secretary at a company, and because they had signing authority, they were getting hit because the president of the company didn't have anything. So
Well,
it's a pretty sad state of affairs.
Yeah, no, especially if you were just an employee. So without giving any names before we go to break, give us a good story.
Well, just real quick, what I'd like to mention is I told everybody that, we offer a tax. We do a tax investigation when we start out every case. I have people on standby here today. If they want to call in, normally this tax investigation costs $499. I'm offering it to anybody that calls in today during the show, or if you listen to the podcast of the show, if you want to call in to 888-557-4020. I've got people on standby. They'll take down your basic information for you. We'll do a tax investigation for you absolutely free, and I'll be the one to call you back and discuss what's the possible resolutions available to you. I mean, there's some really big cases that I could discuss, and just to let you know the difference between me and the other ones out there. We briefly mentioned it, but I use programs that rely on math, not programs that solely rely upon the last person that reviewed it at the IRS that day. So those settlement for pennies on the dollar, that's up to the last person that reviewed it. If they woke up on the wrong side of the bed that day or don't like your last name, they can reject it for whatever reason they want. If I can prove it on paper and using math, then I can get it done. And the programs that I used was 2 weeks ago, we saved one case $1.2 million. So that's the largest savings I've ever had in one case. We're up to over $1 billion saved for combined of our clients, but that particular case was the largest, $1.2 million we saved them. It took since 2014 to do it, but heck, if it takes 5 years to save 1.2, I think I'd be happy.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, that's amazing. I mean, that really is. So when we come back from break, the first thing I want to talk about is when they make that first call to you, I want you to walk everybody through what you do. Because, listen, there's people who are embarrassed about, they owe money to the IRS. It happens. It happens to the best of us. But people don't know what's involved when they contact you and they sit down with you, or you can do it over the phone, what all is involved. So when we come back from break, we're going to go over that. Give everybody your phone number, Dean.
It's 888-557-4020.
And give them your website address, too.
That's www.mytaxhelpmd.com.
Wonderful. We're going to go to break, and we come back. We've got more with Dean Michael.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I have one question for you. Do you want to stop worrying about the IRS? If the answer is yes, then look no further. I've been around for years. I've helped countless people across the country, and my success rate speaks for itself. So now you know where to find good, honest help with your tax problems. What are you waiting for? If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or haven't filed in years, call me now at 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com for a free consultation and get your life back.
So we're back here, and I'm just so glad that we've got a tax relief show now. People have been asking for it. The problem is we had no place to put someone because we've been filled up for so long. But now that we're with 740 AM, the mother of 1470 AM, we are so glad. And then when Dean told us that he wanted to be part of our show, and he's also part of our show. We have a show in Houston that he'll be doing this weekend. So, we were talking about once someone makes that call. Now, you talk to these people. Is that a tough call when you sit down with these people? Is it a tough call just getting started, giving your company a call to a lot of these people?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, like I said, some of the other companies out there, before they even know your last name, they're quoting you thousands of dollars, and they don't even know which direction they're going to go in. We don't do it that way. To start out with our company, I have a whole front room of people. They're in acquisitions. When you call into the 888 number, you'll talk to one of the acquisition specialists. They basically take down your information. It's only $499 to get started. That pays for your tax investigation. And once the tax investigation is completed and I call you back or one of the other tax professionals call you back to go over our findings with you, that $499 is applied towards the overall amount to handle your case.
Oh, nice.
So it's very basic, and it's kind of just so I know that I'm not spinning my wheels, doing tax investigations for people that really aren't serious. That's the only reason why I'm asking for the $499 up front. We don't make any money off of that at all. After you pay for marketing and everything else, that's not really what it's about. I'm not here to get a bunch of $499s. The whole idea here is just to know that what I'm promising you is real and obtainable, and the only way I'm going to know that is if I get the account transcripts from the IRS, look at what it says in their system so that I know it's real.
Okay, so now they make the call to you, and what is the next thing that you do?
Well, when they make the call, they give them the information. They decide, okay, they want to move forward after they've done research on our company. We send out the forms. There's a Form 8821, and basically a tax authorization form. It allows us to order the transcripts on their behalf. Second form is a 2848 limited power of attorney that allows us to represent you before the IRS. So we email them out to you. You sign them, fax them back. And within 24 to 48 hours, actually a couple weeks back it was within 24 to 48 hours, IRS changed it up on us. It takes about a week to get the transcripts back now. Because we have to order them online. We used to be able to just get them right over the phone. So it takes about a week to get the transcripts back now. That'll probably change again in a month, but we'll find out. Once we get the transcripts back, myself or someone else will call you back. We'll go over the findings, and if it tells us what years have been filed, what hasn't been filed, what they've assessed you with, it even tells you what notices have gone out so that you know what their next step is for enforced collections. So after doing that and finding out what the total amount is that's owed, we have to do what's called a financial analysis, an interview, so to speak, and go through your monthly finances and expenses. There is a certain calculation that IRS uses to determine your monthly NDI, your net disposable income. And your net disposable income determines which programs you qualify for. There are several different hardship programs, but they're all based on the same calculation. It's just a matter of preference and which way to go and which way is going to work best for you. But long story short, we take the total household income, you subtract what IRS calls absolute necessary living expenses. Now understand what IRS considers absolute necessary living expenses and what you and I consider absolute necessary living expenses are two different things.
I'm sure.
All right? And they only care about what you need to live, breathe, eat, and work. That's it. So if you have children in private school or you're paying, tuition for college or even if you're paying credit card bills, they don't like to count any of those as actual expenses, allowable expenses. They're voluntary in their eyes. So once you've subtracted absolute necessary living expenses from the total household income, you get your NDI. Whatever that number is, like I said, that determines which programs you qualify for. Now, if you do that calculation and at the end of the month it shows you're upside down, basically you're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul just to get by month to month, which is what most Americans are doing these days. Everybody's living paycheck to paycheck, just some people's paychecks are bigger than others. That's basically what I've learned when I do these interviews. And if I can prove on paper that you don't have any money left over at the end of the month, you're not going to have to pay the IRS. And you can sit in a status called currently not collectible until the collection statute expires on the debt, and thereby not paying a penny of it. And
wow.
To me, that's one of the best programs to be in. Now, it takes a little bit longer to get it accomplished, but it's the exact same thing that I did for this gentleman that owed $1.2 million. So we just put him in currently not collectible, made sure he stayed in there year after year until the collection statute expired, and it just recently fell off a couple weeks ago. So obviously he's a very happy man.
Yeah, I would say so. That is absolutely amazing. And I got to tell you, because I've been doing this show for 8 years now, Dean, and we're in 10 cities. I have other tax relief shows in other markets. I got to tell you, I got a major compliment coming. You know more about this than anyone I've ever interviewed. And I'm so glad we've got you. You know all the terminology. Listen, I just heard you talk about something that I've never heard anyone talk about. And I just want to tell you, I'm so glad to have you, because I can't even imagine what it feels like when you have the IRS coming after you.
It's pretty crazy. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what got me in this business. I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be a tax guy.
Yeah.
I wanted to be something cool, like a fireman or a policeman or something like that. But when I was a youngster, I had lost my mom at age 16, and basically I've been on my own ever since I was 16 years old. So at that age, that's a big deal to lose a parent. It's a big deal to lose a parent at any age, but especially when you're 16 years old. And so I was never really taught about, tax returns or anything like that. And I went about 10 years without filing tax returns. And what I discussed a little bit earlier about them doing substitute filed returns, well, they did that very same thing to me. They filed a bunch of returns, came up with this big, huge, erroneous figure they claimed I owed. I think they said I owed $75,000 or something like that. And right now, I would be my own perfect candidate. If I was looking for someone, I'd want them to be exactly like I was. I was burying my head in the sand, pretending it wasn't there, and every week wondering if my paycheck was going to be in the account. And basically, at one point, it wasn't. They were garnishing me and levying me every which way I turned around. I was forced to get help. And when I did, I realized, that it was a great idea, because I didn't owe $75,000 after it was all said and done. I ended up paying, I think it was $900. That was it.
$900?
Yep. After they refiled all the returns. This is how badly they exaggerate the numbers when they do substitute filed returns for you. And so it's not like I did a settlement offer and they broke it off, and that's really all I owed was $900. So
wow, that's amazing.
That it was done.
Now,
obviously, I was pretty happy about that outcome, but at the same time, I was kicking myself in the butt for letting it hang over my head for 10 years.
Right.
So if there's anybody out there listening right now where you've had it hanging over your head for a lot of years, pretending it's not there, now's a good time to take advantage of giving us a call. It's absolutely free. There's no obligation whatsoever, and you can find out exactly what can be done in your situation.
I think the nice thing, Dean, is that they don't have to talk to the IRS anymore.
Exactly.
You take on that responsibility.
Precisely. That's all we do 24/7. We're on the phone with the IRS all day long. And fortunately, we don't have to wait on hold as long as everybody else, because we have our own practitioner hotline that we call into. You still got to wait on hold, but it's not nearly as long as a normal person.
But you know what, though? Listen, you know what can be said. An average person doesn't know what they can say. And a friend of mine told me the lady, the officer, was like acting like they were best friends. But they're not, though, are they?
No, they always play that route the first time out. They act like they're your best friend. They act like they just want to get the case off their desk and just give me all the information. And once you give it to them, they turn around and flip the script on you. So, and also one thing I want everyone to be aware of, 2 years ago, IRS was pretty reasonable. And, when you called in and you talked to someone over the phone, it was someone that was usually fairly intelligent and knowledgeable in the comings and goings of IRS. But I don't know what their hiring process is these days. But over the last 2 years, it seems like when I call into the IRS, I'm talking to a third grader. That's what it seems like. And they don't have any clue as to what the guidelines are, the parameters, and what they're supposed to be doing. And we have to show them. So if you're going to call in and hope the IRS is going to point you in the right direction, believe me, you could end up with one of those third-grade educated people that they hired, and you're going to be just as lost as they are. So it's very, very important that you have a tax professional that knows exactly what to do, because even the revenue officers, it's the same way. You get someone that are on a big authority kick, or They think that they can do something and they can't. I have some stories, man, that you wouldn't believe, and I think I'm going to start recording all of the lines that we've got going into IRS. I could get a book out of this.
So what's nice about, well, first of all, it sounds like you know more about the tax laws than the agents do.
Definitely. I told you I started this when I got into this business back then. After I had gotten in trouble myself and realized that, it was a good idea I got help. That's when I did the research on it. And when I did the research, I found out 1 out of every 3 people in the country have a tax problem. So
That's
I surrounded myself, with CPAs, tax attorneys, enrolled agents, and I formed my first corporation way back then. And I've been doing this for, I think, over 28 years now, I think. And now I train CPAs, tax attorneys, and enrolled agents how to do this. So this isn't what they teach in CPA school. It's not what they teach in enrolled agent school, and it's not what they teach in law school. This resolution part can only be learned through experience. You have to have done it over and over again to realize exactly what can be done and what can't. When tax attorneys come in here to apply for the jobs here at my company, if I like them and I think they're go-getters, I'll hire them, but I still have to train them how to do it.
Wow. Hey, give everybody your phone number.
It's 888-557-4020. And remember, if you call in, it's absolutely free to get the tax investigation, which normally costs almost $500. There's really no excuse to at least take that step and see what we can do for you.
And your website?
mytaxhelpmd.com.
Well, Dean's going to be back with us again next month. I am so glad you are part of the Ask the Expert show now. I feel so good having you. You know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about. And please, people, write this number down. You might have a friend who's having tax problems. Do them a favor. Write this number down, 888-557-4020. Dean, I can't wait to do this again next month.
Thank you, Steve. I look forward to it.
Okay. So we got some great shows on here. We're done now, and we'll be back again next Thursday, 3 to 4 o'clock, with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for listening to the Ask the Experts show, featuring interviews with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Call our office at 888-574-6999 to become one of our experts on the show. And tune in again next week for more Ask the Experts with Steve-O. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its